One more semifinal matchup before we get to the Civics Bowl championship. Whose knowledge of government, politics, and history will earn them that final coveted spot? Ferris or Lewis and Clark? Join us now to find out.
Civics Bowl is made possible by Eastern Washington University, the Avista Foundation, the League of Women Voters of the Spokane area and of Washington, and by viewers like you.
Hello and welcome. I'm your host, Gary Stokes. We hope you've been enjoying this inaugural season of Civics Bowl. And if you're anything like me, and I hope you are, you've learned a lot too. So let's take a look at the bracket. Last week, North Central advanced to the championship with a win over the community school. Who will join them in this battle of the South Hill, Ferris or Lewis and Clark? We'll know in about a half hour. Welcome back, teams. Let's meet the players from Ferris.
Hi, my name's Kylie.
My name's Kate.
Sylvia.
I'm Jack.
And Lewis and Clark.
I'm Ben.
I'm Sasha.
I'm Arun.
And I'm Molly.
Thank you, players. And the Ferris alternate is Sam, and Coach Mara Bischoff will join us today in the audience. Also in the audience, LC's alternate Sylvie and Coach Megan Gomes. We will start this semifinal matchup with the toss-up round. All players are eligible to buzz in and answer the toss-up question. After correctly answering a toss-up question, the winning team will receive a related bonus question. Remember, you can collaborate on the bonus question. All correct answers in this round are worth 10 points. For all questions, you must wait until I've finished reading the question to buzz in. Players, are you ready?
Yes.
Let's go. Toss-up question number one, and here goes. Name one right that is reserved only for U.S. citizens. Arun.
Voting.
That is correct, and you have a bonus. What are two rights and or freedoms given to everyone living in the United States?
Freedom of speech and freedom of religion.
Those are correct. Toss up, both teams. What Supreme Court case was the federal government's first real test regarding citizenship? Kylie.
Dred Scott versus Stanford.
Correct. And here is your bonus. Why did the Supreme Court rule that slave Dred Scott was not a citizen and therefore could not sue for his freedom in federal court?
He wasn't living in the state where this was contested.
Incorrect. They argued that the framers never meant to include slaves under the protections of the Constitution. New toss-up, both teams. Prior to the passage of the Voting Rights Act in 1966, name one specific tactic that was used by some states and counties, particularly in the South, to violate African American voting rights. Arun.
Literacy tests.
That is correct. The other is poll taxes. And here is your bonus. In 2013, the U.S. Supreme Court ruled that states and counties with a history of discrimination no longer needed to comply with Section 5 of the Voting Rights Act. What did this allow states and counties to start doing?
Passing more restrictive voter security laws.
Correct. Here's your toss-up, and it is a guest video, so let's take a look at the monitor.
Hi, Governor Jay Inslee here, and here's your question. In our current two-party system, there are third-party organizations. Could you name two of the three parties that have the most registered voters after Democrats and Republicans?
Kate.
Independents or libertarians?
No. Arun.
Libertarians and Greens.
That is correct. And here's your bonus. Here again is Governor Inslee.
Now your bonus question. Third parties could have an influence. Could you name one impact, a potential impact of a third party on elections?
They could split the vote.
Yes, that is also correct. All right, it's toss-up time. Name two types of primary elections. Arun.
Open primary and closed primary.
Correct. Here's your bonus. In a closed primary, the voter must be registered as a member of the party they wish to vote for in the primary. How does an open primary differ?
In an open primary, voters don't have to be registered with a party to vote.
That is correct. And here's your toss-up, and it's another video question.
Hi, I'm Spokane Mayor Nadine Woodward. Here is your question. What type of primary does Washington use for presidential elections?
Arun.
Open primary?
That is correct. And here is another bonus question.
For all other state and local elections, Washington State uses a top 2 primary. What does that mean?
The top 2 candidates, regardless of the political party, will advance to the election.
That is correct. Here's your toss-up question, both teams. What is the practice intended to establish a political advantage for a particular party or group by manipulating district boundaries? Jack.
Gerrymandering.
Correct. Here's your bonus. Name the 2 successful practices for gerrymandering a district. Yeah, need an answer, please?
Changing boundaries and manipulating demographics.
No, that would be packing a district and cracking a district. All right. Toss up, both teams. The 4th, 5th, and 6th Amendments in the Bill of Rights of the U.S. Constitution provide protections for what group of people? Arun.
People accused of a crime.
That is correct. Here's your bonus. The 6th Amendment provides certain rights to people accused of crimes. Name 2 of those rights.
Right to a jury and right to a fair trial.
That's 2. You're fine. Thank you. Toss up, both teams. The 4th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution prohibits the unreasonable searches and seizures of what? Kylie.
Holmes.
Yes. All right, and here's your bonus. The 4th Amendment also requires that certain requirements be met to obtain a warrant. Name 2 of these requirements. Need an answer.
You have to be accused of a crime, and it has to be done. I don't
Time's
know.
up. You must, upon probable cause, supported by oath or affirmation, particularly describing the place to be searched and describing the persons or things to be seized. And here is your last toss-up. Both George Washington and Benjamin Franklin were impressed with the principles of an indigenous group's constitution. Many elements of their constitution found their way into the U.S. Constitution. What indigenous group was this? Arun.
The Iroquois Confederacy?
That is correct. And here's your bonus. 6 tribes were part of the Iroquois Confederacy. Name 4.
The Iroquois, the Seneca, the Mohawk, and the Onondaga.
The Iroquois was already part of it, so you need one more.
And the Wampanoags.
Nope.
Okay.
The Oneida, the Cayuga, and the Tuscarora. And that wraps up this round. That was competitive and fun to watch. The score is 130 Lewis and Clark, 30 for Ferris. And let's take a moment to get to know our players. We'll start with Ferris. What are some of your favorite extracurricular activities? Kylie.
I like to dance, I sing in our choir, and I like to go to Spokane Chiefs games.
Nice. Kate.
I love to do anything outside, so hiking, fishing, anything like that.
Sylvia.
I like spending time with the jazz orchestra at Ferris and continuing the friendships I've made there.
Jack.
I like to read, write, climb, and ski.
Vin.
I like to play guitar and swim.
Sasha.
Debate and robotics.
Arun.
I like to participate on the Knowledge Bowl team and to cook.
And Molly.
I play violin in the local youth symphony, and I like to go climbing.
Nice. Thank you, teams. Thank you for letting us know more about you. We'll be back in a moment with the head-to-head round after the answer to last week's question of the week.
Which tribe was Indian rights activist Lucy Covington a member of? The correct answer is A, the Colville Confederated Tribes, located in northeastern Washington. Lucy worked with members of her own tribe and others in the 1950s and 60s, preserve tribal sovereignty for not only the Colville tribe, but for tribes across the country. A new brain teaser is coming up later in the show.
As you can see, our teams have moved to the head-to-head round set with me. First, a scoring update. In the last round, LC conferred on a toss-up question that is not allowed, so the judges have deducted points for that and the following bonus question. Our score now is Ferris 30, LC 110. In this round, each team member will go up against a member of the opposing team one-on-one. Questions in this round are worth 10 points. And again, you must wait for me to finish reading the question to buzz in. Are we ready? Let's begin. Under which circumstance, according to Article 1, Section 10 of the U.S. Constitution, may a state wage war? With the consent of Congress, if actually invaded, in such imminent danger as will not admit of delay. D, all of the above.
D.
D is correct, all of the above. Next, Washington State is in the Ninth Circuit of the United States Courts. Name 3 other states in the Ninth Circuit.
Idaho, Montana, and Oregon.
Those are correct. There are many other elections than just presidential election every 4 years. What other elections are held in off years?
Gubernatorial elections and representative elections and senator elections.
Correct. Often equated with peaceful protests or nonviolent resistance, what is the term used to describe the act of a citizen who deliberately and peacefully refuses to obey governmental laws or demands in an attempt to force concessions from the government?
Civil disobedience.
Correct. Article 1, Section 9 of the Constitution says no person holding office shall accept gifts from foreign states. Why?
Conflict of interest.
Correct. The Vice President serves as President of the Senate but has no vote there except under what circumstances?
A tie.
Tie is right, that's fine. You're good. You are a member of the Spokane tribe living in Washington State in 1882. Can you vote?
No.
That is correct. Native Americans were not granted the right to vote until the passage of the Indian Citizenship Act in 1924. Name one war fought by the United States in the 1800s.
French American.
No. That was the last question. Your answers could have been War of 1812, Mexican-American War, Civil War, Spanish-American War. Thank you all. So that went very well. The totals right as of right now, 180 to 30, and we will have more right after this.
We want to take a moment to say congratulations to Civics Bowl Judge and Social Studies Curriculum Coordinator for Spokane Public Schools, Susie Gerard. Gerard earned the League of Women Voters of Washington Good Citizen Award. Since 2018, Gerard has partnered with the local league to stress the importance of voting in Spokane civics classes. Because of her support, League members have visited more than 140 classrooms and met 3,200 students. They have also registered 1,400 first-time voters.
And I'm really proud to work for Spokane Public Schools, where we've had a proud tradition and a long tradition of stressing civic engagement and civic education.
Congratulations, Susie Gerard, and thank you for all your work in our schools and our community.
Okay, let's get back to gameplay with the category round. You have 6 categories to choose from, each with 5 questions, which increase in point value from 10 to 30. Here are your categories: lawmaker tactics, a good neighbor, TV guide, happy 4th, your responsibility, and the electoral college. Teams will alternate turns. You can skip around to different categories. However, you cannot jump ahead in point value. Points are deducted for wrong answers in this round. In the event of a wrong answer, the other team has the chance to answer. You can pass on a question with no penalty or toss a question to the other team. If you are tossed a question, you must answer and will either win or lose the associated point. Now, this is where some strategy comes into play. Team with the low score gets to pick first. That would be Ferris, and let's go.
Could I have a good neighbor for 10?
You may have a good neighbor for 10. What was the name given to President Franklin D. Roosevelt's policy towards Cuba in 1934?
We would like to toss.
Okay, tossing that.
The good neighbor policy.
That is correct. Okay, Elsie, you're up.
We'll take TV Guide for 10, please.
TV Guide for 10. In the popular political satire mockumentary sitcom Parks and Recreation, Amy Poehler played this mid-level bureaucrat in the Parks Department of fictional Pawnee, Indiana.
Leslie Knope.
You are correct. Ferris?
TV Guides for 15.
TV Guide for 15. This political drama gave us a front seat to the inner workings of the U.S. executive branch in the late 1990s and early 2000s.
Veep?
Incorrect. You got a chance to go at it?
The West Wing.
You are correct. My favorite television show, by the way. Okay, your pick.
Okay, we'll go with Electoral College for 10, please.
Electoral College for 10. According to the U.S. Constitution, how many electors may each state appoint to the Electoral College?
The Constitution doesn't mention it.
That is an incorrect answer. You may respond and steal. Ferris?
3, and then depending on the population, more.
The whole number of senators and representatives the state has in Congress.
Can I have Happy 4th for 10?
You may have Happy 4th for 10. The justification that England had failed to secure the rights of the people and therefore the people had a right and a duty to throw off such government is outlined in what document?
The Declaration of Independence?
That is correct. Elsie?
TV Guide?
TV Guide for 20. Julia Louis-Dreyfus plays the Vice President of the United States on Veep and discovers the job is nothing like what she expected. What network aired Veep?
A toss.
Okay, tossing it. Kate?
Comedy Central?
HBO. HBO. Ferris, you're up.
Could we have Your Responsibility for 10?
Your Responsibility for 10. Citizens have both personal and civic responsibilities. What are personal responsibilities?
The right to defend your home?
You are correct. Elsie?
Okay, TV Guide for 25, please.
TV Guide for 25. And here's Mayor Woodward with your question.
I know a little something about this category from my life before I was mayor. Which TV show was known for tackling current political events through the work of an investigative journalist and her co-workers at FYI, a fictional television news magazine?
Pass.
Okay. Murphy Brown. Murphy Brown was the answer. Ferris?
Can we have TV Guide for 30?
You may. Wrapping up this category. In this political sitcom, viewers followed the day-to-day challenges of New York City's mayor, but it was actually the deputy mayor, played by Michael J. Fox, and later Charlie Sheen, who solved most of the problems. Name the show.
30 Rock?
Incorrect.
We'll pass.
Okay. Spin City. Spin City was the name of the program. All right. Elsie, you're up.
Lawmaker Tactics, please.
Lawmaker Tactics for 10. Name the parliamentary procedure the Senate is allowed to use to extend a debate over a proposed piece of legislation to delay or entirely prevent a vote.
A filibuster.
That is correct. Ferris.
Can we have Happy 4th for 15?
Happy 4th for 15. Who was the influential 17th century English philosopher whose ideas were reflected in the Declaration of Independence?
John Locke.
Correct. LC.
We'll have lawmaker tactics for 15, please.
Lawmaker tactics for 15. What procedure limits debate or ends a filibuster by calling for a vote?
Our answer is cloture.
Cloture is correct. Ferris.
Happy 4th for, 20?
Happy 4th for 20. In the opening words of the Declaration of Independence, certain truths are held to be self-evident. What are these self-evident truths?
All men are created equal in that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights. Among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness.
Well done. Well done. That was impressive. LC.
We'll have your responsibility for 15.
Your responsibility for 15. Citizens have both personal and civic responsibilities. What are civic responsibilities?
Educating yourself about the government, serving on a jury, voting.
That is correct. Last question to Ferris.
Happy 4th.
Happy 4th for 25 points. The Declaration of Independence declares that all men are endowed with certain unalienable rights. What are unalienable rights?
The right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness.
Correct. Thank you very much. Great job, everybody. Well done. Round of applause. We'll be back with the final round after your question of the week.
Since 1852, the U.S. Capitol has been used as a place to pay tribute to the nation's most distinguished citizens. Who was the first woman to lie in honor at the U.S. Capitol? A. Ruth Bader Ginsburg. B. Barbara Bush. C. Susan B. Anthony. D. Rosa Parks. Do you know the answer? Follow the QR code on your screen or go to ksps.org/civicsbowl to submit your answer and be entered into a drawing to win a prize. The deadline to enter is Monday at noon. And please, you're on the honor system here. No Googling. We will contact the winner directly and let you all know the right answer next week on Civics Bowl.
Only the lightning round stands in the way of the championship match. Here's a look at the score before we start. Ferris 35, LC 245. Teams, this is your chance to run up the score by answering as many questions as you can in 90 seconds. Each correct answer is worth 20 points. Points will be deducted for wrong answers. Teams, are you ready?
Yes.
Let the lightning round begin. The powers that all national governments have as a result of being sovereign governments are called what? Sylvia.
Inherent.
Correct. What part or section of the U.S. Constitution sets out the goals of the new government? Arun.
The preamble.
Correct. Which legislative house in Congress is responsible for originating tax bills? Jack.
Senate.
Incorrect. House of Representatives. True or false? Article 1, Section 10 of the U.S. Constitution allows states to enter into treaty alliances or confederations. Kate.
False.
Correct. According to Article 6 of the U.S. Constitution, legislative, executive, and judicial officials of the United States and of each state must be bound by oath or affirmation to support what document? Arun.
The Constitution.
That is correct. Which amendment to the U.S. Constitution implies a right to privacy for individual people? Sasha.
The Fourth Amendment.
Incorrect. The Ninth Amendment. Did the original U.S. Constitution, drafted in 1787, contain a definition of citizen? Jack, just in time?
No.
You are correct. Are felons allowed to vote in the state of Washington after their incarceration? Sylvia.
No.
Yes. What term is used when the media is the resource that people use to find out who won an election? Scorekeeper. Look at the photo on the screen. Members of the U.S. House introduced bills by placing them in this object attached to the side of the clerk's desk. And we are done. And with a score of 265 to 55, Lewis and Clark will be moving on to the finals. Congratulations, everyone. A great match, and it was a great matchup. And so now we await to see what happens in the finals. So it will be Lewis and Clark and North Central for the championship of the entire free Civics Bowl world. Can't wait for that. You can watch our final season 1 matchup, championship round, right here on KSPS at 7 o'clock next Monday night. You can also watch online at ksps.org/Civics Bowl. We hope to see you again next week for the big championship matchup between North Central and LC. Thank you very much. See you next week.
Civics Bowl is made possible by Eastern Washington University, the Avista Foundation, the League of Women Voters of the Spokane area and of Washington, and by viewers like you. If you're a regional school interested in taking part in Civics Bowl next year, we want to know. Go to ksps.org/Civics Bowl to fill out our online contact form.